A very good afternoon to everyone. Before we just start, a big thanks to Mr. Mubarak and State Secretary Ms. Strobel for putting this at a very right time. In fact, everyone we meet across, the circles, the business circles, the only word that we hear most often is about mobility. I extend a very warm welcome to all the engaged audience and esteemed panelists. And I'm sure that with your in-depth knowledge about your subjects on mobility, probably we'll have some food for thought today. And probably I'm not saying that we will be able to address some of the challenges, but definitely we'll be able to highlight that to the appropriate people, and maybe with some of the ideas and clues, we may left them, go home with some food for thought. Having said that, today we gather as thought leaders, industry experts, policy makers, and keen observers to deep dive into the pressing issues that shape the landscape of mobility. And mobility is it's a backbone of any society because it brings a different perspective about things. It helps the economy to grow. It helps us to understand accommodating different type of cultures and grow together. So it has its own kind of importance, so as to say. But if it is not done in a right way, the same thing actually can become a very big challenge for the society and for the individuals and their family. So let's quickly, considering that we have 30 minutes, I have actually deleted some of the questions which probably were already answered. And we'll just focus on few of the things which matter or which were not addressed in the previous discussion. So before I just go into a very quick round of introductions, starting with you, please.
Yes, thank you very much. The microphone works as well. Jonas auf dem Kampe. I'm a German employment migration lawyer. So I work for a global law firm that focuses on German employment migration law. So we see, what we say, Fachkräfteeinwanderung literally every day. We support companies and private clients on a daily basis with immigration to Germany. And therefore, we also have the practical insights on how immigration actually works with the involved authorities, what problems there may be on a daily basis. And yeah, I'm very, very happy to be here today. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rucha Ambekar. I am an intercultural and strategy trainer. I aid the German industry, Mittelstand especially, in integrating the non-European workforce, mainly India and Germany, becoming the topic here for last 12 odd years. So there are a lot of lessons learned from the operational level, which I can share, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Welcome, my name is Jonas Marggraf. I'm Managing Director of Fintiba. We're a Frankfurt-based tech company building a platform for internationals to come to Germany, especially through visa processes with blocked accounts, health insurance, everything you need. We have more than 300,000 internationals coming to Germany, and of course our core in this discussion of how do we ease that journey as much as possible. And great to be here. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks. Hello, my name is Michaelis. I work for Barmer, a big health insurance company from Germany. And as the name suggests, we offer health insurance, mandatory health insurance to everybody in Germany. And therefore, we also support the Indian community and the foreign community in general with health insurance questions and so on. And we provide them access to the German healthcare system. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Saravanan. I'm representative of AFRIW Berlin, based in Berlin, as the name says, and we are focusing on fair migration and fair mobility, especially focusing on labor exploitation and human trafficking. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi everyone, I'm Renuka Panchpor, educationist by passion. I represent Telc here. Telc is one of the leading educational organization in Germany and also internationally. So our focus is mainly the first steps that we earlier discussed as well: German language, certifications, teachers training, also the publication, the books, how to learn German.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's quite a heavy panel that I have to probably moderate. But all said and done, I'm looking for a very stimulating and thought-provoking discussions. With that, let's begin. As an icebreaker, to start with, I would say that if you can just briefly mention the challenges that you face, or other, I would say challenge, not challenges, challenge that you face in your specific fields, very quickly, starting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically probably a summary of things we have heard today already. It's the heavy bureaucracy. It's the involvement of various institutions and authorities in Germany that are involved in a typical immigration process to Germany. It is the situation at all the individual authorities involved here when it comes to how much stuff those authorities have, how big the volume of application is, of the applications is at various authorities, both in Germany and abroad, at the German embassies, at the German consulates. And then also, of course, and this is something that the clients realize on a daily basis, the heavy and the high processing times that are basically as a result of those different aspects. This is what we are dealing with on a daily basis. I could, of course, go on, but I think these are the major challenges we face.
Thank you. Navigating through all the systemic and structural differences and hurdles and barriers, there has to be a strong bridge that is a given, but I am looking at the other side of the bridge. So in the Mittelstand, on the operational level, according to me, reaching the work integration. So inside of the Mittelstand, whether there is a social integration is a completely different category, but professional integration, when people start working over here, that is according to me, because it has an effect on many facets on migration. So whether the issues range from subtle biases to extreme issues as to discrimination, but also professional isolation is a very big issue, and that has an effect on whether the migration is going to be sustainable or not. So according to me, professional isolation and whether there is an integration plan at the Mittelstand level as well, that is, according to me, from an interculturalist view, the pressing challenge.
All right. I mean, you know the business very well, Dev. So I would say from a business side, we are part of the visa process. So we are directly connected to the visa process and with all German visa offices abroad. I would say the big issue is really that processes are not connected and aligned. The whole topic of how can we maybe link information that India has with what Germany needs on a digital level, there is huge room for potential, and we have a lot of loose ends to connect. And I think on an overall level, I see we have worked a lot on quantity over the last years, but I think it's now time to switch to quality, because in the end, sort of the way that successful integration makes the whole process successful. And I think we need to do that all along the way. How we assess language, how we assess requirements for university, how we assess also candidates for jobs. And I think this is where we need to really change mindsets.
Can't agree more.
Well, from my side, being a part of the bureaucracy in Germany, which Jonas just mentioned, I won't complain about the bureaucracy in Germany. But from my point of view, it's really the access to the healthcare system that hinders people in moving to Germany, because we have a difficult system in Germany, and we need to open it up for people coming here to feel really safe and arrive in Germany and focus on their jobs and what they do. So that is really the biggest issue, to explain the system to them, to really make it understandable for them.
Yeah, migration is not an easy issue. Like many of us, we have this migration story behind us. So it is not from moving from from point A to point B. It is like a life-changing decision for us. So the MMPA, the mobility partnership between India and Germany, that gives the opportunity to migrate to Germany and to have a professional development and economic growth. So on our day-to-day activities, we see three main categories of people who are coming to us or who are approaching us, like students, and then obviously the job seekers, the second category, and the Fachkraft and the skilled people. So the students, they have dreams, obviously, and apart from STEM groups, there are there are lots of students in the recent past coming for management studies. So this has given to a kind of private universities an opportunity to enroll a lot of people, a lot of Indian students in that management studies. So in that area, we see a kind of a huge issue where some universities are serious and most of the universities are not at all serious in what kind of degree they are giving. And after obtaining the degree, what are the chances to get integrated into this labor market? And there is another problem issue within that issue. There are a set of serious students who want to get into complete the studies and get integrated into the labor market. And then there are other set of students who are non-serious in nature, and they prioritize work job over studies and go into a kind of work more than what the statutory period allowed. Like some people, they work full time with a freelancer job or something like that. So they don't even know the labor rights also, and most of the students, they don't even the German language also, and they get in troubles with many
Saravanan,
problems.
I think we'll touch upon each and every point.
Yes.
Net, what actually Jonas mentioned, it's time to look at quality rather quantity. I think that's exactly what you're aiming at. And we will touch upon this a bit more deeper. Just one question to you as well. The most important or the critical hurdle that you see in your business?
So a lot of hurdles are already mentioned, but what I think from coming from an educational background, I think one of the major challenges that we are facing right now is availability of qualified teachers, because it's one of the aspects that we cannot forget. We cannot talk about skilled immigrants without considering the teachers who are actually going to train them with German language. So a lot needs to be done in terms of investing in qualifying those teachers, empowering those teachers to train their students better for Germany. It will then help also to mitigate a lot of challenges that are faced later at the migration stage or at the integration stage.
Sure. So basically, whatever I understood, between all of you 6 people, we actually cover the initiation and then the settlement, the entire journey of any person, who wants to migrate. So, Saravanan, a question for you. Ms. Bieber actually gave an impressive overview on the initiative taken by the Bundesministerium. And despite these reforms, why do the bureaucratic delays persist in visa processing or getting your residence permit, or for that matter, even the documentation, getting that right? And how can you overcome such structural issues?
See, again, if you see the volume of applications, like it's not like in some 2-3 years back, the volume of application itself is huge. And in some areas, we see lack of resources. Like in Berlin, we have a migration pact between India and Germany, but there are lack of resources, like human resources or funding. To prioritize this visa applications quickly and to process it quickly. So that's one aspect. And then there's recognition. That recognition itself takes some 8 weeks, I think, 8 weeks, 2 months. 2 months, and it is not a guarantee that it will be fulfilled in 2 months. So there is a huge gap, but they, as one of the presenters here said, they will look into each applicants, even though they are they have equal qualification, they are going to have a same employer and same thing. So there, if you see each and everything, if you process, it will delay the whole process, and the employer. Obviously, the IHK research study shows that process is get delaying. So lack of resources is on the one side, and the other side, homemade complexities.
Saravanan, just on this question, is it the intent issue? Because by saying that funding is not available or resources are not, resources I can still agree because the whole discussion is about that. But when it comes to funding and all, is this an intent issue? Or is there a gap between what the policymaker actually wants to do and what the people understand at a execution level?
Yeah, there is a huge gap. When I see like the stakeholders, the industry, they want quick they want the process to be done quickly, but the bureaucracy level, they say, no, we will look into this. We cannot let anyone simply to our country. So there the gaps exist. So there it also gives a kind of a loophole to the other exploiters also, like Fachkraft, this Accent,
Yeah.
18A and 18B. So you divert, you just play with those things and they get visas. So to circumvent those recognition process.
Yeah.
So in that way, the bureaucratic process should be reformed. How it
Well, it's
be
a
done,
very
it's a
it's a
big
very
question, yeah.
heavy word of reform. I'll say, and anyone actually looking at any country, which is especially non-English speaking country, language plays a very key role. And Renuka, a question for you. Ms. Habig and Ms. Beck actually provided quite insights on what Goethe is doing and how they are trying to integrate people who are coming to Germany, in Germany and in India or in any other country. And language plays a crucial role in any sort of successful integration. So although integration courses are mandatory, some cases subsidized, and what I understood is in some cases it's free. So why do completion rate and the satisfaction score remains inconsistent, and what's missing in the government's approach to foster this true linguistic and cultural integration?
Yeah. So first of all, I think in courses subsidized, even free of cost, and making them compulsory. Yes, but the overall funding for the integration courses has been considerably reduced in last year. So there are a lot of Volkshochschulen who are not able to start the new courses. That's from the perspective of the people who are providing the courses. From the perspective of the people who actually do the courses, I feel that there should be more of online or hybrid kind of a model, because with the working professionals coming here, trying to integrate into the work life in Germany, they prefer a lot online, where it gives them a lot of flexibility. So because I think that's one of the things that integration courses can aim at. And another thing I have seen a lot of times, also read about it, is spouses of skilled workers. They are the ones who are generally supposed to do the integration courses. At times, childcare facilities, they have to wait for a year or 2 years for their child to enter Kita, and that makes them a little tied up with their routine at home. And that, I think so there are other aspects apart from only language which impact the actual language learning or time to be given for language learning.
So, Jonas, just a follow-up question on that probably. We work with students, and what was your perspective when you're looking at students who are actually graduating in Germany and getting a job vis-a-vis students who have probably not learned German, and as you're aware, sometimes they struggle to get into the job market. How do you look at this situation?
I think it's quite clear that, of course, the language is one of the big integration enablers.
Yeah.
And if you're not based in Berlin or either Frankfurt or one of the really big cities, it will be very tough. And most jobs are in German Mittelstand, somewhere very far away. At the same time, I see that as a huge chance, because I think there's so many Indian people who are not just coming for Berlin or the huge cities, and they are willing to go to the places where Germans at the moment are not coming. But I see the biggest risk that people come with wrong expectations. It's very tricky, so especially for some of the private universities that do full English-speaking courses without German learning, that by the time you start learning German, it's almost too late. And I think we need to match that expectations much earlier. And this is, again, quality to say, what do we need? I think that students, that the really interesting part about why I think that we should focus on students is that we have a pathway of integration integrated in the process. I mean, all these things that we try with individual bodies around that we also talked here, is part of the student journey. With sort of the universities having welcome weeks, you automatically get friends, you have internship opportunities, everything you need to build a network is much more natural in students. So I think many people that come on Chancenkarte should also maybe consider rather doing a second master if they really think long term, and do a pathway that we also heard today about these fit sort of career center initiatives then going forward. So I think this is the interesting part about the students.
Yeah, Rucha, just, linking these two things, very interesting facts actually we saw in a couple of reports as well. So my experience, as you're aware, I was a banker out and out for 20 years working in corporate banking. And I always thought that the Siemens of the world actually don't face any issues because they are already international. But I think probably there's a course correction or I need to correct myself. But I have seen a stark problem when it comes to the Mittelstand, because it's not only about the language, but a cultural aspect plays a very huge role. Because I've come across people in Germany over a period of time wherein their German is excellent. I would say they are C1, C2, but their integration in the society is somewhere lacking big time. So that means that, this both things have to go hand in hand. You can be in language, you can be a C2, but if you don't respect the culture, if you are not a part of the German society, if you don't, you are not flexible to adopt a lot of things, actually these things can end up in a unsuccessful integration in spite of you knowing the best of German. So on that aspect, considering that the Mittelstand is not that international, and seeing someone coming from a foreign land, and in this case from India, knowing the language, but integration and all, how crucial and what are the challenges that are faced on both sides?
I need a day for this, but I will try to shorten it in a bit. I want to go back just for one aspect of the Einbürgerungstest, the integration, German integration test, as we call it. The focus of these tests is passing the Einbürgerungstest, the courses. All of you who have done the test know it. If you have not done the test, as an experiment, just download the Einbürgerungstest Hessen and try to solve it. And then ask yourself a question whether this test in any way enable any kind of deeper understanding or integration pathway.
Yeah.
The discussion is on another level. I'm not criticizing the test itself, but it does not waive off any kind of further, so one has done the integration course, does not mean that I will be successful in a Mittelstand.
Yeah.
There has to be a lot of push factor also on the Mittelstand, that I am bringing you this to your house, because the Mittelstand works as a family-oriented, very German-centric work culture. I'm bringing you this group. The house also needs to be ready,
correct,
isn't it?
Absolutely.
So again, an end-to-end integration concept absolutely is, for me, the central point, the key factor where when it comes to cultural misunderstandings. I'm not going to talk about, we all know all the visible aspects, that the communication styles are different, that we expect different aspects from teamwork and so on. But the more relevant element for me is whether the Mittelstand or that particular, whether it can be a production unit or healthcare or whatever it is, are they investing in training the house builder or the trainers who take these people in? That, according to me, that is where most of the conflicts happen, which leads to, again, non-sustainable or extremely not a very inclusive environment in the work culture.
Sure. Maybe if I may add one thing, because I really agree completely, and I think we sometimes think everyone is just waiting for Germany to open the doors and that we come. And I think we have to really switch that.
Correct.
If we want to compete for the people that we really need and the open-minded skills and everything, we need to get this welcome culture, not just into companies or Mittelstand, into the whole society.
Absolutely.
And I thought when we were talking about welcome centers, I thought, how do we get that? It's probably not through one center or whatever.
Correct.
It's a huge task.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can just comment on that as well. I mean, all these aspects that we heard are incredibly important. They are fundamental. And then also the law comes in. German employment migration law is very complex. So get into the perspective of an employer for a second. There's an employer, he has a candidate. All these aspects are met. There's sufficient health insurance, the language skills are there, The cultural understanding is there, and then it's okay, what are we going to do now for a student, for example, in order to let him or her work in Germany? So the truth is, in German employment immigration law, to work full-time as a student, you need to switch your permit towards a German work permit. Otherwise, it's not possible. So you need to be lucky enough to be residing in a city where you do have a German immigration office that has sufficient staff in order to process your application in time. If you're unlucky, for example, in Stuttgart and Nuremberg, in parts in Frankfurt as well, I have to say, it can take up to a year or even longer. So you keep being on your student permit, you are allowed to work part-time, and the company is waiting and waiting and waiting until your application has been processed. So we talk about quality, here we are. We have the processes, we have the law, we have great ideas. And also the coalition agreement, the coalition treaty of the new government provides great ideas, at least when it comes to skilled migration, to skilled labor. But we need to put that into practice. We need to make sure authorities are well equipped with sufficient staff, also with the understanding. Last point maybe, because what we see is, and we heard this throughout this session, German employment migration law has seen some very tremendous amendments. But what we do see is, and we do have actual cases, that staff and authorities sometimes are not aware of those amendments. So what we have to do is we go into legal discussions, which again delays processes. We see that at the end of the day, we know the law and we say, guys, listen, it's like this, actually it has changed. And then it takes time to get a response again. So we talk about quality. Quality needs to be implemented in the processes that are already there. And then I think, the future can look very bright.
Jonas, just on this point, because, we have just gone into the kind of integration and all, but before that, when a student or a job seeker or opportunity card holder comes from India, there are other financial requirements as well, starting from blocked account to the, various financial products. And when they land here, the first thing that they hit is that they have to do Anmeldung, and Anmeldung cannot happen for the next 6 weeks, which means that they cannot have an apartment for next 6 weeks, which means they cannot have a bank account for 6 weeks. And this entire cycle goes on and on. I think we deal every day with that. So how is Fintiba probably looking into this? Because I think now, being the largest players, we both working together, how do you ensure that the customers first, landing in Germany is kind of much more easy when it comes to this immediate paperwork?
Yeah, I think this is really how we try to work around the different laws, as you just said, and improve a process which is really difficult. Because one example, for example, is health insurance. I mean, we have now introduced the Chancenkarte with the requirement of having a health insurance for 12 months from outside.
Correct.
This is not planned in the system so far, because travel health insurances are made for up to half a year. We have a lot of topics convincing embassies or visa offices worldwide to tell them, wait, look, you cannot proceed it like in the past, because it will not work, or otherwise people pay 2 health insurances for the same time, once before they leave and once they come here. The same as you say, I think good example is the new visa portal that we heard about. The new visa portal is a great step forward, because we can finally apply online for a visa. But unfortunately, it's not connected to the local foreign offices here. That means we're missing that link again. And so I think it's, of course, business opportunities on some stages, and I think we can do a lot of work to improve, but we all hope that we can get everything to a leaner process to smooth that path. And as you said, I think the more we shift to be able to already do abroad, the less hurdle you have here. Like you say, there are ways of opening a bank account or like a current account already abroad, and you don't have to wait for your Anmeldung and then finding a bank for a current account, and you get access to your money right away, because otherwise you're right, then you wait 3 months for the amount of money that is blocked. And I'm glad that we're working on solutions, but I still see that the regulatory framework can
a lot
be
needs to be
improved.
done. But again, Jonas, on this point, if you see what we heard now in discussions, the quantum of the bachelor students is increasing over a period of time. And for addressing the bachelor students, we need a bank account. And sometimes these bachelor students are less than 18. And probably as of now, we don't have a solution, but we want them to come to Germany. So how do we navigate those things?
I think we,
I mean,
we
tough
must be
question,
very
but-
innovative, Dev. It's a true point. I mean, we are doing that, that we enable partly parents to open accounts for their kids, that we do financial solutions from abroad that you can use here, but it comes always with limitations, of course. I think with the health insurance, we are further. That's much easier to get them on a health insurance than on the banking infrastructure, but we're definitely working on it.
No, thanks. Mark, how does the Germany insurance landscape accommodate newcomers, and what barriers do they face in securing essential or important health insurances, whether it is private, public, or health, or third party, any sort of insurances?
Well, that's a really good question. Talking for myself, as a German, the German healthcare landscape, health insurance landscape is already kind of hard to get into. And I don't want to imagine how it is for somebody from abroad who comes to Germany with a totally different system. I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, the most important thing is to bring transparency into everything, to bring the light, really the spotlight onto the issues that we have, and to show the people how to navigate everything. I mean, it starts with finding a doctor, which is easy for a German, to find a Hausarzt. I mean, you grow up, you have a general practitioner, a Hausarzt that supports you with everything. If you come to Germany as a newcomer, you are not aware. And when you get sick the first time, you question yourself, what am I gonna do today? How do I get the doctor? And then you start dialing and start searching on Google and look for doctors, and you notice, oh, they are all busy and don't have time for me. Then it's probably Wednesday, and most general practitioners don't have opening hours. So you have to be aware of that, and that's where Goethe Institute and IHK comes into place with all their programs that we already mentioned before, where we have to educate those people how to navigate the healthcare landscape and how to use everything to really arrive here in Germany and feel safe.
Yeah, I think we will be probably hitting our time in a couple of minutes. So if you had an opportunity to consult directly with policymakers, some of them are actually sitting here, what one piece of advice would you offer them to improve the pace and efficiency of migration related reforms? And it has to be just, couple of sentences because of the time, please.
Absolutely, I can fulfill that requirement. So, basically, like I said already, the law is there, the authorities are there. We have to make sure we equip them with the sufficient stuff. We have to make sure we increase digitalization. There are very, very good ideas. There are very good implementations already. They don't function perfectly yet, but we are in a good way. But we have to make sure that we use those resources that we already have, that we use those authorities we already have, and make sure they're equipped with everything they need. And then, again, I'm very, very confident that we can increase processes, that we can speed them up.
Great.
In the shortest way possible, there are enough top-down initiatives. We need solid plans as to how we are going to execute them bottom-up, especially for the Mittelstand and for the policymakers. There is a lot to learn from India when it comes to agility in governance. So there has to be also an exchange there as well, and invest in sustainable integration bottom-up, and not just there are enough initiatives from Bund, but if you look at the Gemeinde and the Commune level, there has to be a lot that has to be done.
Digitize and be much more pragmatic. I mean, look, India has a India stack. There's an e-visa. I think Germany can do that as well. We just need to convince the Ministry of the Interior that fingerprints can also be taken as an arrival, and you don't need to go to VFS or something like this. It's very simple, and I think we need to shift authority to a more decentral level. That, for example, assessments, for example, the colleagues from Goethe or language assessments, I speak to some of them and they know someone learns just to how to sort of to pass a test and not how to pass the language. If someone understands that someone is not passing a test because he doesn't speak or she, then we need to have the ability to let them fail and be much more pragmatic on selecting quality again. I think this would be my part.
Absolutely.
Well, first I wanted to say that we might need to bring everything and everybody that is involved in the process together. But doing that work now for a couple of years, I'm aware that most people are already together, the important people. I believe what is getting in the way, and again I'm talking about from the perspective of somebody working in the health insurance, is the topic of data protection laws. I mean, we are in Germany, data protection is a huge issue and it's complicated, it has a reason and it has its good points, but we need to ease the exchange of information between the different parties that are involved in migration to ease the transition to Germany.
There is a joint working group being created under this MMPA between India and Germany. So it is primarily a G2G mechanism. So I would like to suggest the policymakers to involve more stakeholders in that before this G2G mechanism, like Arbeitgeberverbände, Employers Federation, to know the supply demands from them, as well as Gewerkschaften, trade unions, labor rights and exploitation or unethical practices of recruiting people, or the commune and the city administration. Like Berlin, we have a huge accommodation problem there, and processing of visa also takes much time. So that point, and then also NGOs to be included which are working in this labor exploitation or the human trafficking area. So more interest groups involved and getting their feedback to make many policy reforms between the G2G mechanism.
Sure.
I'll say one of the things that we should do is starting at a lot earlier stage, not starting the integration or starting to talk about integration when they land in Germany, but start it at a very early stage. Collaborate with organizations in India where the immigrants or the skilled workers are prepared, because if you do it in India, it becomes preparation. If you get to know it in German, it becomes shock. So I think we should avoid that. And secondly, in Germany, I feel we should focus a lot on professional. We talk about language, but we should do a lot more of the profession-specific language. Berufskurse, currently they are mostly in the field of nursing and all, but I feel they need to be there in all the fields, the professional-specific language.
I think that's a fantastic idea, and I don't see any reason why that cannot be done quickly. I think it's, with people like you who are sitting here and who gave speech today, with, all of you put together, I think we can execute this much faster in a, in a very faster pace. But I think for this forum, we need at least 2-3 hours, which we don't have. By saying this, as we conclude this insightful discussion, I actually made a lot of points and a lot of words I have noted. Probably it's also for me to learn something. But I want to just extend my deepest thanks and a lot of appreciation to all of you because of your expertise and thought-provoking points that you made. Let's take this insight from today further out of these rooms as well, and see how we can work towards a more inclusive, a more driven, and maybe a future-ready mobility landscape. With this, I would like to thank each one of you, and thanks the consulate team, and also to everyone who has participated today. Good day.